Hello, awesome people! I hope you're having a great day today. Today we're taking a look at the 4-page short story called The Keeper of the Flame. It's written by Gary Myers. It's published in this 1996 collection that we've been doing a deep dive to called The New Lovecraft Circle. Where I picked up. I'll link it to you in the comments below for you folks. This thing was a lot of fun. It was 4 pages long. I read it last night for a second time. I picked up this collection when I was in college after I was doing a deep dive into the Cthulhu Mythos after reading H.P. Lovecraft stuff early in my junior year. And he picked up a couple of his collections on Del Rey. All the stuff, loved it. And I read all his stuff pretty quickly, and he became my favorite author after Michael Moorcock that I was introduced to in high school in the first couple of years in college. I did a deep dive into more his Eternal Champion stuff. So H.P. Lovecraft was my next favorite author. He's a guy from the pulp era who created, he used some of his ideas and concepts like the Necronomicon from one story to another. He encouraged other people to do the same. And then he used some of their stuff in his stuff too, like Seth Agnew from fellow author for Weird Tales, Clark Ashton Smith, or H.P. or Robert E. Howard's stuff, the guy who created Conan. And so he definitely was fun in the pulp era. He published a story in the late 20s called The Call of Cthulhu that sort of put them all together, and that's where the concept of the Cthulhu Mythos takes its name from, and the character that's introduced there with Cthulhu for you folks. And this, before that, he was publishing short stories in his dreamlands that were of a fantasy nature instead of a horror nature, and then those were more inspired by Lord Dunsany's The Gods of Pagana and his dream stuff and his fantasy stuff too. So it's sort of the second chapter, and The Keeper of the Flame is more like that than it is more like the cosmic horror. This is a fantasy short story set in a fantasy world, and so forth. And so this is, it's not in the Cthulhu Mythos cosmic horror. It's definitely, it's a fantasy short story, and it doesn't name call anybody in the dream worlds or in the Cthulhu Mythos either. So it's in a Cthulhu Mythos collection, which I've read here in mid-October as part of my October that I dedicate to the Cthulhu Mythos every year since the first one in 2019, my first October. But it's not in the Cthulhu Mythos proper or in the Dreamlands either that were written by H.P. Lovecraft for you folks. So what's happening in this short story? We'll start my review, but again, I can't review spoiler free. This is only 4 pages long. I read it in less than 10 minutes last night for the second time, and it was fun for this channel, and I enjoyed going back and reading The Keeper of the Flame. But it was, again, it was fun, fast stuff. And so what's basically happening is I like to give you the first couple of pages of a short story or the first couple of chapters of a novel to review things. But here, since it's so short, I'm only going to give you the first page, right? Because I don't want to ruin it too much for this fast fiction read for you folks. So what's happening is that we're set in a place. There is a high priest of faith to a god in an ancient time, and they take sacrifices from pilgrims that are coming up the mountains and up the valley that from this pristine area in this ancient fantasy world. And they bring up sacrifices and as pilgrims to this god that they worship, and then the priest takes them and gives them warm platitudes and so forth, and takes their prayers to the god themselves. Okay, and now we're about to find out about, except this one time where something else happens, where somebody different arrives, and now we're finding out at the end of the first page. And then the rest of the 3 pages are all that are who this other person was that was different, who arrived, and so we'll find out more and do a deeper dive into the faith and so forth for the last 3 pages of this 4-page short story. I liked it. I thought it was a fun diversion. It's hard to rank short stories that are this short because there's not a lot of stuff, right? And for you folks, there's a lot of conversation between this new person and the high priest. There's not a lot of plot. It's just conversations and details and so forth. But it's fun. I thought it was interesting and so forth. So I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. But your mileage may vary based on how short this is or how fast this is and so forth. But then again, that is a fantasy short story. It's published again in the new Lovecraft Circle, which I'll link to you in the comments below. It's called The Keeper of the Flame. It's fun. I liked it, and I enjoyed it. It's a fast little diversion for you folks. So there you go. I'll go ahead and leave you to it. As a reminder, the channel's name is The Worst Thing About New Books, which is a quote by a philosopher from France called Jacques Joubert, who said that the worst thing about new books was that they kept us from reading the old books. And so a book that was published back when I was in college in the 90s and early 2000s and definitely was, was decades ago, is definitely something fun for the channel that we forgot about, where my passion lies from. Have you read it? If so, what did you think about it? Did you agree or disagree with my rating? Let's talk about it in the comments below. If you want to talk about spoilers or the ending, let's do that too. Or the conversations, or who the god revealed to be, that sort of thing. Let's talk about it. If you enjoyed this, why not hit that subscribe button, because there's going to be a lot more of these to follow. And then finally, I just want to thank you so much for taking some time out of your day and investing it and watching my video. We all have so many things that are happening in our lives, and we're pulled in so many different directions. So the fact that you spent this time with me is incredibly humbling, and I appreciate it. So thanks again, and have an amazing day.